people think the worst part of cheating is the lying. For Daniel, it wasn't the lies. It was the thing on the footage that shouldn't have been there. In 2022, Daniel and his girlfriend, Ayesha, lived in a small apartment above a laundromat. They'd been together 4 years. He worked nights as a security guard, she worked days at a dental clinic. Their schedules rarely lined up, but they made it work. Or, at least, he thought they did. It started with the late study sessions. Ayesha suddenly had a course she was taking after work, twice a week, then 3 times. She'd come home around midnight, smelling like hotel soap and a cologne he didn't wear. Her phone was always face down, notifications muted. When he'd ask innocent questions, how was class? What are you learning? Her answers were vague, short, irritated. Daniel tried to tell himself he was paranoid. He'd been cheated on before. Maybe he was just projecting old wounds onto her. For a month he forced himself to trust her. Then one night, the laundromat owner downstairs told him casually, "Your lady comes home around 11, right? Sometimes with her brother." Daniel froze. Ayesha didn't have a brother in this city. That night, instead of going straight to work, he stopped at Walmart and bought a cheap Wi-Fi camera, the kind people use as a baby monitor. He set it up in the living room, disguised between books on the shelf, pointing at the front door and couch. He didn't plan to catch a ghost. He just wanted the truth. The next evening, he told Ayesha he'd picked up an extra overtime shift, kissed her, went to work, then parked his car a few blocks away, and watched the camera feed on his phone, heart pounding. 4 hours, nothing happened. 6 p.m., the door finally opened. Ayesha walked in and a tall man followed her. Dark jacket, backpack. They laughed. She kissed him in the hallway like she'd never been tired in her life. Daniel stopped breathing. They moved to the couch, half out of frame. His ears roared. He almost burst in right then, but something on the screen made him pause. In the reflection of the living room window, behind them, there was someone else, tall, too tall, standing perfectly still in the darkness of the hallway. But no one had opened the door again. At first, Daniel thought it was a glitch, some weird distortion from the cheap camera. He squinted at his phone. On the couch, Ayesha and the stranger, tangled together, faces close, whispering. In the window's reflection, a third figure, a stretched shadow of a man, head bent low as if watching them. The angle was wrong. The shape didn't match anyone in the room. Then the figure's head turned, not toward them, directly toward the camera. The feed froze for half a second. Static crackled through his speakers. When the image returned, the reflection was gone. Daniel nearly dropped his phone. His first instinct was anger, betrayal. He started the engine, ready to drive straight home and throw her and her mystery man out. But something about that reflection lodged in his chest like ice. The shadow had looked almost deliberate. Instead of going home, he drove to work, hands shaking on the wheel. During his shift, between patrols, he replayed the footage a dozen times. Paused, zoomed, frame by frame. Every time, the same thing. Door opens once. 2 people enter, but for a few seconds in the glass. There is definitely a third presence. Around 3 a.m., as he was rewinding the clip again, the audio glitched. A low, distorted whisper crackled through his phone's speaker. "He isn't the only one." Daniel yanked his earbuds out, heart racing. The whisper hadn't been there before. He was sure of it. He checked the sound timeline. No spikes, no anomalies. Just the smooth, normal audio of clothes rustling and distant traffic. By the time his shift ended, he had convinced himself of 2 things. 1, Ayesha was definitely cheating. 2, he was definitely losing his mind. He drove home on autopilot, rehearsing breakup speeches. When he opened the apartment door, she was asleep in bed, breathing softly. The living room looked exactly like it had on camera. Same blanket on the couch, same window, same shelf. Daniel stood in front of the glass and looked at his reflection. For a heartbeat, he thought he saw someone standing behind him in the hallway. Someone too tall. Blink. Gone. The next week, things got worse. Ayesha's classes increased. Now she was staying over with a friend because they were studying late. Anytime Daniel walked past her phone, it lit up with messages from a name saved as Clinic Group Chat. The preview lines didn't look like anything a group would send at 1:13 a.m. He moved the camera slightly, angling it to see more of the couch and hallway. Each shift he worked, he kept the feed open. He caught them together twice more. Each time, the same pattern: door opens once, 2 people enter, reflection shows 3, and each time that tall, warped figure in the window seems a little closer to the couple, a little clearer. On the 3rd recording, while the stranger kissed Ayesha's neck, the reflection's head turned again, toward the camera, like before. But this time, the whisper was unmistakable: "She lies to both of you." Daniel's skin went cold. The next night, Ayesha texted him, "Staying over at Saba's, don't wait up." He opened her location. She'd forgotten he still had access. She was nowhere near Saba's. The dot pulsed next to a small roadside motel on the edge of town. He didn't even think. He drove. Snow blew sideways across the empty parking lot. When he pulled in, he spotted Ayesha's car immediately. Lights off, curtains drawn. Room 7. He walked up to the door, heart beating so loud he could hear it in his ears. As he raised his hand to knock, his phone buzzed. It was a notification from the Wi-Fi camera app. Motion detected, living room. Confused, he opened the live feed. The image made no sense. His living room was dark, but the couch was not empty. Ayesha sat there, alone, wearing the same hoodie she had left in, breathing fast, crying, looking around like she was being watched. Behind her, in the window reflection, that same tall figure stood in the hallway, closer than ever, head tilted over her shoulder, one long hand reaching toward her. Daniel stared between the motel door in front of him and the live camera feed on his phone. Ayesha couldn't be in both places, unless the motel door handle rattled from the other side. For a second, he thought the stranger was about to fling it open. He backed away slowly, got in his car, and drove home instead. When Daniel reached the apartment building, the hallway lights were flickering. His front door was slightly open. Inside, the living room light was on. Ayesha sat on the couch exactly as she'd appeared on the camera, same hoodie, same wild, terrified eyes. When she saw him, she jumped up and ran to him, grabbing his sleeves. "You see it too, right?" she whispered. "Tell me you see it." "I thought I was losing my mind." He was ready to scream at her, to throw the cheating in her face. Instead he asked, voice flat, "See what?" Her lip trembled. "The tall man in the hallway. He started showing up the first night I brought him here. I thought it was just my guilt, like I was imagining it. But he started following us. I saw him in the motel mirror tonight. He was behind us in bed. I ran. I drove straight here. I thought I was going crazy." Her phone, still clutched in her hand, lit up with a notification. "Unknown number. You can't hide from what you are." Right then, the hallway light went out with a soft click. On instinct, Daniel checked the camera feed on his phone. The live image showed both of them standing in the living room, just as they were. But behind them, in the reflection of the window, the tall figure towered over Ayesha. Not a blur now. Clear, gray skin stretched too tight, eyes like dark holes, mouth pulled into something that wasn't quite a smile. Daniel turned around. The hallway behind them was empty. On the screen, the figure slowly raised a hand and placed it on Ayesha's shoulder. She shuddered. Her breath hitched, like she felt something ice cold but couldn't see it. "Do you feel that?" she whispered. "It's like something's holding me." The feed crackled. The whisper came again, clearer than ever. "She lied in this room. She brought him here. She'll do it again." The lights in the apartment flickered violently. Ayesha screamed. Every door in the hallway slammed shut at once. Then, just as suddenly, everything stopped. Silence. Lights steady. No shadow in the window. Ayesha collapsed to the floor, sobbing. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," she repeated like a prayer. A week later, she moved out. Daniel never asked where she went, and she never asked for another chance. Months passed. Daniel stayed in the same apartment, alone. No more footsteps at night. No more glitched whispers. The camera stayed on, out of habit. Then one evening, as he was locking up for work, a new couple moved into the unit across the hall. They smiled, young and happy, arms around each other. As Daniel walked
Around
past,
trip.
he caught a glimpse of their reflection in the stairwell window. For just a second, behind the girl's shoulder, he saw a tall, familiar figure in the glass, head tilted, watching. When he blinked, it was gone. Some people say cheating only destroys trust. In that building, it seemed to attract something else. Something that watched, and waited, and never forgave.